Welcome to the Daily Insider here on VegasInsider.com. Kevin Rogers with you as we take a look at everything from the NBA, the NHL, and Major League Baseball from Thursday night and look ahead to Friday inside of the sports betting world. And want to remind you about the Daily Insider contest, which we have every day from Monday through Friday. It's very easy to enter. It's free, in fact. And basically what you do is in the comment section below this video, you put your Vegas Insider user ID along with your best bet for the day. Now, it can be Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL. It could be a first 5-inning play in baseball, a first half play. It could be just a side for an entire game. It could be the total for the entire game. It could be a player prop. But give your best bet, and you will be eligible to win a week's worth of handicapper picks from one handicapper on VegasInsider.com. And you can do that in the comment section below. You have to win your bet, first of all. If you don't win, then you aren't eligible for the prize. And secondly, it cannot be a live bet. It cannot be in the middle of the game. It has to be before the game starts. So that is what we have. And if you have the question of, what if I don't have a user ID on Vegas Insider? How do I play? That's very easy. Go to the big yellow register button in the upper right-hand corner. Click on that. Free membership. Register now. And then, boom. Create a user ID. Create a password. Email address. We get in touch with you. First and last name and phone number. And you'll be all set. And then you'll be good to go. We just need that information so we can get in contact with you. That's the only reason why we ask. So that is the Vegas Insider Daily Contest where you can, or the Daily Insider Contest, where you give out your best bet for the day. And if you win, you'll be in the drawing. Remember, if you win your bet doesn't mean you're going to win automatically. It just means you're in the drawing to win the prize, which is a week's worth of handicapper selections of one handicapper of your choosing on VegasInsider.com. Now let's begin with the NBA from last night. And so far, you've had in these series, out of the 4 semifinals, Brooklyn-Milwaukee started 2-0, Jazz up 2-0 on the Clippers, Phoenix up 2-0 on Denver, and Philly and Atlanta have split. So it hasn't been that thrilling, but last night, you finally had a victory for the Milwaukee Bucks as they beat Brooklyn 86-83. Now, a couple of things in this game. Number one, I put out on the best bet video Brooklyn in the first quarter. That obviously wasn't even close. And I understand that. I get it. And if you saw that, those things happen. And you say if you had Brooklyn plus, 2 in the first quarter and they lost by 3 or they lost by 19, does it make a difference? Seriously? That if it was closer than that. So it was just a clear-cut loser. Milwaukee came out guns a-blazing in the first quarter. Chris Middleton and Giannis Antetokounmpo played it very well out of the gate. Nets couldn't hit anything. But then look at the second quarter, 31-15. So the Nets rebounded there. And Brooklyn had opportunities. I mean, they took the lead, and then Milwaukee came back and took the lead. Now, I want to address this one thing about everyone talking about Bruce Brown and why is he taking big shots at the end of the game and not Kevin Durant? Number one, for the most part, there's only a few examples, that Bruce Brown wasn't taking 25-footers. He was taking shots in the lane that were rimming out. Weren't easy shots, but they were also shots in the lane that were rimming out. And not every single time down is Kevin Durant going to shoot the ball, or even Kyrie Irving. I didn't even see Kyrie Irving taking shots towards the end of that game. So I'm not going to be as brutal on Bruce Brown as a lot of other people are. I mean, Kevin Durant had that 3 at the end. That was a crazy attempt, and he still almost made that. I mean, we know he's one of the, if not the best, one of the best top shooters in the game. I mean, we're going to put Steph Curry right in front of him. But as far as just pure perimeter shooters, we know Kevin Durant is near the top of that list. And I'll give Durant a lot of credit because with James Harden out, you still have a guy in Kyrie next to you that I still don't agree with him going to Golden State, because I thought he could do it himself, or at least with someone with him like he did in Oklahoma City with Russell Westbrook. They got that close to making the finals before blowing that 3-1 lead to Golden State years ago, and then he went to the Warriors. But at least now here in Brooklyn, he can carry a team. We know he's going to be a Hall of Famer. And Brooklyn, for them to A, cover is amazing. And B, they lost. You know what? I think I think they're okay with it from the standpoint of getting blasted right out of the gate. They could have just quit and say, okay, fine, we're down 2-1. Let's just move on to game 4. They didn't do that, Brooklyn. They still came back. They took the lead. And Milwaukee got to feel like they escaped because they were playing extremely well. And then all of a sudden, we woke up the sleeping giant, and the Nets ended up coming back, making it a game. And so far in the series now, 3-0 to the under. And by far the biggest discrepancy of an under of any of the 3 games. And now you wonder, moving forward, how much more can you back the under? Looking at game 4, which is going to be Sunday in Milwaukee at 3 o'clock, an ABC game, that totals down to 229 at the Westgate, 229.5 at DraftKings. So it went from 239.5 all the way down to 229.5. So now you got to wonder, all right, is this the time to bang the over coming up in game 4 on Sunday? The Jazz, after they had that horrible start in game 1, they played better out of the gate in game 2, led by 13 at the half, and they hold off the Clippers 117-111. So LA for the second straight series now down 2-0. But the difference here is they're going home, but they haven't played great at home so far in these playoffs. They won game 7 against Dallas, but they lost the first 3 to the Mavericks at Staples Center. Now they go back to Staples, and it's going to be a tall task for the Clippers. It really is, to try to beat this Jazz team. And Mike Conley hasn't played the first 2 games, but Utah, they go over the total. First game stayed under. This one goes over. So the Jazz get another good game from Donovan Mitchell. And Utah looking good as they hit the road. Now, tonight, you have 2 more games in the NBA. Philly and Atlanta is the first one, and the Sixers just a 1-point favorite in this game. Atlanta comes into this one 13 straight home wins for the Hawks. So they have taken care of their business at home recently. And I want to tell you about this number, which is amazing, for Nate McMillan. When Nate McMillan replaced Lloyd Pierce as the head coach of the Hawks, they were 14-20. They were not going anywhere. They went 27-11 their final 38 games when Nate McMillan took over as the head coach. A guy who has proven himself in different stops. He was, I don't know about you say, unjustly fired in Indiana. He had a bad playoff record. Like that you can't dispute. But the guy they brought in, Bjorkson, was a complete disaster. They fired him after 1 year. But McMillan now finds a new home in Atlanta, and you have a bona fide star in Trae Young. That Atlanta's won 13 straight home games. In that span, they've beaten Milwaukee, Phoenix, and Denver as a home dog, teams that are still alive. So Atlanta definitely not afraid of the home dog role, and they rolled the Knicks twice at home in the first round. So now they're a short underdog here, and the total at 224.5. Philly's been a really good over team so far in the playoffs. Atlanta rather has been a good over team as a home dog this year. 9-4 as a home dog for Atlanta. 2 of those unders came with Trae Young out. So just think about that for a second. So maybe the over's a look. Atlanta, again, great home record of late. So maybe the Hawks could be a consideration tonight. Now the tough one, the late game, Phoenix and Denver. And the Nuggets, they are 1.5-point favorite after they just weren't good the last game and a half. They played well the first half against Phoenix in game 1. Got blasted in the second half of game 1, and then forget about it. Game 2, they just got rolled. So now Nikola Jokic returns home, MVP. He's had an unbelievable season, but Jokic can only do so much. That it feels like with the Suns, they don't have to just rely on Devin Booker. They have Chris Paul, they have DeAndre Ayton, they have Bridges, they have other guys that can contribute. Where the Nuggets, without Jamal Murray, you know what you're going to get from Jokic. The first round, Michael Porter Jr., Monty Morris, they played well. They have not been good in this series. Aaron Gordon, need him to wake up. And, again, the Nuggets need help from their, I hate to say everyone, but Michael Porter Jr. is not a role player. He's a very good player. He's a substantial player for the Nuggets. But other guys need to step up besides Nikola Jokic. He's not going to score 85 points against the Suns. And that's still not enough. But Denver a short favorite here, and that total around 222.5, 223 after they finished under the last game. We'll see now going out to Denver how that's going to change. And the early numbers for this weekend. Saturday, the lone game, Jazz and Clippers in LA. And the Clippers are 4.5-point favorite. That tells you a lot. Brooklyn laying 1.5 at Milwaukee, so that one flipped. After Milwaukee's a 3.5-point favorite. But the same thing happened from game 1 to game 2, even though the Nets went from James Harden getting hurt in the first minutes, then him being out, and Milwaukee flipped to a favorite, and they got rolled. This one has nothing to do with any of that, unless Harden's coming back, but I haven't seen anything about that recently. So the Nets right now, they are a short favorite on the road in Game 4, and we saw how well they played coming up, or how well they played in basically the last 3 quarters against the Bucks last night after the very tough start. So let's now take a look at Major League Baseball, and we'll look ahead to tonight's action. We have a very busy schedule, obviously. I mean, yesterday you had, it was an all right schedule yesterday, but now we start fresh again today. Cardinals and Cubs from Wrigley, that's a 2:20 start, and the Cardinals finally snapped their losing streak. They blew out Cleveland a few nights ago at home. So now Cardinals and Cubs, they got 3 games this weekend. Sunday night, ESPN game. I think tomorrow's probably a Fox game. And Chicago coming off of a road trip in which they won 3 of their final 4 after losing the first 3. So they're playing with some confidence now. The Cubs and the Cardinals, they've been shaky. 2-8 their last 10. Johan Oviedo goes for St. Louis. And Cole Stewart starts for Chicago. When he last pitched, last time at home, 5 innings, 1 unearned run against San Diego, home underdog win. Last time out, 3 earned runs in less than 4 innings against San Francisco, and now you see him as this kind of favorite. St. Louis will be worth a look here this afternoon. We'll see if they can get something going, at least as far as start a winning streak. You can't win 2 in a row is not a winning streak. Lou Brown said that in Major League too. San Francisco and Washington, they were supposed to play last night. They got rained out, so last night's starters go again tonight. Max Scherzer and Anthony DeSclafani. And the Nationals, 6-0 to the under their last 6 series openers. Scherzer's been great this year. DeSclafani's been great this year. And that could be a low-scoring game there in D.C. The Braves and the Marlins, they have not met in Miami this year. They played a series in Atlanta at the beginning of the season, or very close to the beginning of the season, like the second week. Marlins took 3 of 4 in that series, and Atlanta came back to win the last one. So the Marlins were on the verge of sweeping the Braves in that series. Sandy Alcantara goes for the Marlins tonight. He's a short dog. He beat the Braves earlier in the season. May not have a great record, 3-5, but his ERA at 3.30, went 8 innings against the Pirates his last time out. And for Alcantara, he has yet to win a home game. But how about this number, though? In night games for Sandy Alcantara, he's 1-5, ERA of nearly 5. So that's interesting. He goes opposite Charlie Morton, and Morton coming off a home underdog win against the Dodgers his last time out. All of a sudden, after he had a bit of a shaky beginning of May, in which he lost 3 straight starts, Atlanta's won his last 4, and he's pitched much better. So Morton going against the Marlins as a short favorite. And let me just say this, for those of you that missed that Braves-Phillies game yesterday. So the Braves and Phillies had Zach Wheeler and Ian Anderson on the mound, total of 7.5. That game was 0-0 until late, where the Phillies took a 1-0 lead. Freddie Freeman tied the game in the top of the ninth with a solo homer, so he went 1-1. This is where it gets very scary with these totals when you go to extra innings, that you need a buffer. Yesterday, you needed a 5-run buffer to still be safe. Atlanta scored 2 runs in the top of the ninth inning, 1 on a wild pitch and 1 on a pass ball to go up 3-1. Philadelphia bats in the bottom of the 10th inning. They get a single, 3-2, and then they get 2 runners on, second and third, and Gene Segura hits a 2-run walk-off double to win it 4-3. If you watch the replay of it, the ball that Gene Segura hit to left field, left center field, was probably about 3 feet away from being a home run. And if that's a home run, Philadelphia wins the game 5-3 instead of 4-3, and that goes over 7.5. That, I maintain, would be one of the worst total beats ever. Seriously. You go 0-0 most of the way with 2 ace pitchers, 1-1 going to 10. We saw with Mariners-Tigers the other night, these things really get out of control when you get to extra innings. So you better hope on totals when you take the under, just pray for no extra innings. Because that's where you can have a really good bet, you're really on top of it, and then it just goes to hell that fast. And on the flip side, if you have the over, you still got a shot. And that's what happened in that Seattle-Detroit game. Total was 9. It was 3-3 going to extras. Just hope you get one from each side to get at worst a push. And then you get more, but at least you get that push. If you just get one each, and it's not that hard to get that one because you have a runner on second already. So that one, luckily, if you had the under in Braves-Phillies, you cashed in that one. But that was really scary for a while, at least in that 10th inning. The Padres and the Mets tonight from Citi Field, and Jacob deGrom goes again. He's a heavy favorite. You wouldn't see San Diego as this heavy of a favorite, or as this heavy of a dog. Even if they're facing a Clayton Kershaw, I don't know if you'd see the Padres at this price all year. And it's obviously, it makes sense because Jacob deGrom is going to win the Cy Young the way he's pitching. His numbers are off the chart. But that total at 5.5, deGrom just beat the Padres last weekend at Petco. Blake Snell has been terrible on the road. So you say, okay, now you're getting Blake Snell at plus 145. And we know the Mets don't really support Jacob deGrom very well. That he will give you 7 scoreless innings, but it may be a 1-0 game or a scoreless game by the time he exits. But 5.5, it's not crazy. It really isn't with deGrom on the mound because those games are usually 3-1 or even less than that. You don't get high scoring games. I mean, you wouldn't even get to 4-3 with deGrom on the mound. Rockies and Reds, they meet up in Cincinnati tonight. Reds lost to the Brewers yesterday. There was a rain delay in that game, and then Milwaukee ended up busting things out, and they beat Cincinnati in the finale of that series. Tyler Mahle, a huge favorite against Kyle Freeland, and we know how bad Colorado was on the road. They got routed by the Marlins last night, and Colorado at 5-24 away from Coors Field. And the worst part is they're only 13 games below 500, so they're good at home. They just stink on the road. But Cincinnati, they're not good at home either. They're laying 200 with a team that's 13-16 at home. Pittsburgh and Milwaukee, that's the last game of the National League slate. Brandon Woodruff, holy hell, look at that. Laying 300, 270, depends on where you look, against Pittsburgh. And Woodruff, if it wasn't for Jacob deGrom, Woodruff is in the Cy Young conversation. He definitely is. And deGrom, the only way deGrom doesn't win the Cy Young is if he gets hurt. He's out for a long period of time. That's the only way he doesn't win it, because he's not going to get blown up. He's not going to pitch poorly. But Brandon Woodruff has been fantastic for Milwaukee this season. And look, the Brewers have played very well. 1.42 ERA for Woodruff. That's a guy that, he made it to the top of that Milwaukee rotation, and he's staying. And Corbin Burns is there, who's been very good. Freddie Peralta's been very good. But laying that heavy of a price, that's a lot. Baltimore and Tampa Bay in the American League, and the Rays lost their last game to the Nationals in extra innings. The Orioles got blown out by the Mets. Tampa Bay swept Baltimore at Camden Yards in their last matchup, so it's been a little bit of time since they played, but Tampa Bay beat them 3 times. Ryan Yarbrough, I don't think can pitch any better than he did his last time out, complete game win over the Yankees. And now he's a nice favorite against Keegan Aiken, who probably won't go very far for Baltimore in a lot of these starts, maybe 3 or 4 innings. But he's not a bad arm. But Baltimore's lost 12 straight road games, so good luck if you want to take that one. White Sox and the Tigers in Detroit, and they're meeting for the second straight weekend. The Tigers last weekend with Tarek Skubal going, he actually has put up really good numbers if you don't know much about Tarek Skubal. He started the season struggling for Detroit. He didn't have good numbers, but I want to go over his last 4 appearances. Against Seattle, 9 strikeouts. Against Cleveland, 9 strikeouts. Against the Yankees, 8 strikeouts. And against the White Sox last weekend in a 4-3 win, he had 11 strikeouts in just 5 innings of work. So that is that's where that's a good number to look at for Skubal. And when you look at Lucas Giolito, he's been better on the road than at home. And the White Sox have really good numbers against lefties this year. More so on the road than at home, because at home I feel like they're not scoring that much against them. Seattle is at Cleveland, and the Indians a heavy favorite there. Justin Dunn has put up good numbers for the Mariners, but they just lost 2 of 3 to the Tigers, while Aaron Savali goes for Cleveland. He lost last time he actually faced Seattle. Toronto and Boston, the Red Sox favorite here against the Blue Jays, and Toronto off the loss to Chicago. And the Red Sox avoided the sweep by the Astros as they won last night, a high-scoring game. But Garrett Richards has not put up good numbers so far this year at Fenway Park. Houston and Minnesota, they meet up for the first time since the playoffs last year when the Astros took both meetings from the Twins. And Jose Urquidy, a nice favorite there against Matt Shoemaker. And Shoemaker, he's been blown up several times this year. Look at that total, 10.5 between the Astros and the Twins. Royals and the A's meet in Oakland. Kansas City won last night at Oakland. Brady Singer has not been good on the road, but he's not that heavy of an underdog, which is kind of interesting against Cole Irvin, who has had some struggles at home of late. Shohei Ohtani takes the mound for the Angels tonight against Arizona. And Ohtani has seen the under hit in 6 of his last 7 starts. Merrill Kelly, better at home than on the road, but we know Arizona's a complete disaster at this point. And the Dodgers and the Rangers, they meet up in L.A. Look at that. Clayton Kershaw laying almost 350 at some places against Mike Foltynewicz. And Texas, they've been bad on the road. Dodgers obviously outclassed them. Good luck if you're laying the run line with the Dodgers this evening. And the NHL, nothing tonight because we got the Final Four set. Vegas beat Colorado 6-3 last night. So they were down 2-0 to Colorado, and the Golden Knights won the final 4 of that series to advance now to the semifinals, the league semifinals, because there's no conferences. And this was a 3-3 game, and then Vegas blew it open. They won 6-3, so the total goes over. And all 4 division champions from the regular season are all out in the NHL. So now you got Vegas versus Montreal and Tampa Bay and the Islanders. Those are your matchups coming up in the Stanley Cup semifinals is what I guess we'll call them. And Islanders and Lightning start Sunday, Montreal and Vegas Monday, and they'll just alternate days moving forward with the Final Four of the NHL. Also, Euro 2020 gets started today, a year late, but that gets started. So we have a lot of the information here on our homepage, and you can check it out. Also, go up here to Euro 2020, and you'll find best bets, free picks, videos, all of that to get set for this tournament, which a lot of people, a lot of soccer fans will be very excited about. Also, UFC coming up this weekend as well. And we have UFC 263. We have WNBA best bets. You can find all of that in MLB best bets as well from Kevin Davis. You can find that all on our homepage. And again, to remind you about our daily insider and the contest, which we have every day, which you can join just in the comment section below. Put up your Vegas Insider user ID along with your best bet for the day. Baseball, hockey, basketball, doesn't matter what it is, just can't be a live bet. It could be before, or it could be a player prop bet, be a first 5-inning bet, it could be a team total, any of that, just no live bets. And you'll be eligible to win the prize, which is a week's worth of handicapper picks from one handicapper of your choosing at VegasInsider.com. If you don't have a Vegas Insider user ID, go up to the big yellow register button, and you go from there, and that will direct you to creating a user ID and a password, all for free. So, with all that being said, I am Kevin Rogers, and we appreciate you tuning into the Friday edition of the Daily Insider Show. We'll be back with you on Monday. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and as always, best of luck with your bets.